Coming at you live from Studio K. You are now listening to Rambling with Ryan.
On, I just haven't said welcome to the podcast. Thank you, Matt Parmiter, for joining me. That's how we're gonna kick things off now. Just throw it in out of the blue like that.
All right, perfect.
That's how we do it. I'll add in. I add in the music and everything at the beginning now. Before I like to let it run for like 5-10 minutes,
just to
make sure everything's working. Technical difficulties, they never seem to end. But
perfect.
Right. What's going on, man? It's been a while.
It's been a while. I know. It's good to be back here. This is fun. I miss doing this stuff. It's good, but yeah, busy lives, eh?
Well, that's why we had to kind of kibosh
too
the
much
whole
going
Happy
on.
Knots thing, which sucks because I thought we had a really good idea there.
We did have a good idea there. It's I don't want to say it's a hard commitment to make, but like the direction of constantly being in a position of dragging a positive thing out of so many things in life that are going on, it's just hard to focus. And I just think our topics of discussion got difficult and wrapped around and going into things like that. But we still need to do a backpack day soon.
Yeah, we definitely need to do that. Did you see that thing I posted on Facebook today?
No, I didn't.
There was I just reposted Charlie Fox. There was something
the kids
about
in
the high school
yeah.
backpack. So I just posted. It's good to see
That's
this
cool.
is catching on.
People are doing things like that. Yeah,
I think it's a great, simple way. $20-$25. Throw a backpack together.
Even that day, what did we put 4 together? It was like $70 or something.
Yeah,
it was nothing
100.
crazy.
Yeah, it was under $100.
Yeah.
For 4 backpacks to people who really need some help.
Yeah,
really need.
Well, the one guy didn't seem like he really liked it.
Yeah, I know. That was the tough part, right? Kind of picking and choosing who do you give.
It's hard to pick and choose, right? I mean, but I don't know. The idea was good and it was fun. A couple of the people really appreciated it.
Well, and then after doing that kind of got us on the track of getting involved with the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
Right? It kind of just set things in motion.
That was good that night, that fundraiser. And walk.
Don't they have one coming up in
August?
August?
That golf tournament that they're doing. We should try to get in contact with them and maybe put a team in there. I think that would be a...
Pass me one of those pads.
Actually,
I just want to make a note.
Just get in there and do a... we should definitely try to enter a team in that. I think that would be a pretty cool thing.
For sure.
Got Brenda's card right here, actually.
Yeah, I leave everything on the table now that kind of comes about because of the podcast. But yeah, it was I was just, the time was not there, unfortunately, that I wanted to put into it.
Yeah.
And like we both discussed,
it was kind of a full-time job.
Well, the problem I had was all the things we were preaching on the podcast about how to keep your life in a positive way.
You couldn't even do it.
We were stopping doing that stuff to make time to do the podcast.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we were kind of being hypocrites now, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
And, I noticed it.
We were both off work for so long that we had all the time in the world to discuss and plan these things. And then you went back, I went back, and I blew my knee out and was stuck in bed for a month, right? So there wasn't a whole lot of
And how long were you off for?
Just over 2 months. Just over 2 months total there. It was pretty tough. I got walking again maybe a month and a bit into it, and then obviously walking and being able to physically get back into sports, work, things like that are huge differences. And even when I went back to work there a month ago, it was a week or two before
Notice fatigue?
Oh, dying, right? I mean, it's not like I would have liked to do better. That first couple months or first month there on crutches, probably still could have gone to the gym and done some core or upper body stuff. But I don't know, man. Injuries have beaten me up over my life, and it's
pumped the upper body as much as I could. Tried to do it in a way where it was also kind of cardio-esque.
Yeah.
Because it's tough to do cardio without your legs.
Yeah. Oh.
So just did like lighter weights, lots of reps.
Some of the gyms, they have like the ropes and stuff like that, or do a rowing machine. But
yeah, I did that a bit. But even that, you kind of still pushing with your legs a bit, right, on the row. But how did you find? So what was your I don't know if you've had many injuries like that or things where you're off. But
back surgery for 2.5 years. Yeah,
that's right.
That was a nightmare, man. It was. I find the knee was worse because it was, well, I don't want to say worse. Being off for 2.5 years with back surgery was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah,
it was brutal, right? Like you're 23, playing ball, doing all these big young physical guy things, and all of a sudden you're stuck. 6 months I could barely walk 100 feet before I had the surgery, and then eight months rehab, and then you get lost in the WorkSafe system of whether you're retraining or going back to work, and it was just like, it just seemed like it would never end,
Brutal.
Yeah, so that was tough, but like same kind of thing happened with the knee. It was like everything in life was just, moving home and adjusting to being back here was difficult, and you're kind of just finding your groove, playing ball with all your friends again. I was golfing every week, and then blow the knee out.
Right,
and
because you'd just come home.
Yeah, it was
in
just
Alberta.
It was just kind of it sucked, man. It was really shitty. It was very.
Did you find something to put your time into while you were off? Because I found that really helped me.
Netflix and baseball, I guess. The ball season had just started, and even when I first got hurt, I said to myself, I'm gonna try to do better to be occupied, and it was just that constant battle of waking up every day and not feeling sorry for yourself, and you get stuck in that for a while. Once I got off the crutches and I could move, it was a little bit easier for sure to be out. But I mean, for the longest time I couldn't drive. I'm waiting for rides, things like that, and it was just when you're got completely limited mobility, and
how long was
you're waiting on other people. I couldn't drive for about a month and a week.
Oh wow!
I just couldn't put pressure on it, right? So it was.
See, I was the only even with mine blown, I think I
was yours.
It was just
left or right?
Right. It was
Right.
It was the driving one or the
So
gas.
the thing when you have your ACL there, right? I was going through the knee dislocation, so there was so much more swelling, and not that there'd be more swelling.
To be honest, no, you probably did. Mine swelled, but didn't. For what I did, because it wasn't just the ACL. I tore the ACL, I tore the meniscus, and what do they call it? Major contusion on the bones.
Right.
So it was swollen, but like when I seen yours, I feel like yours was definitely
huge,
more so
right?
than mine, and I was only maybe at the most 3 weeks that I couldn't drive. I don't even know if it was that long.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? Because I was driving myself to doctor's appointments pretty quickly. It didn't feel good.
Yeah.
It was uncomfortable as hell. But, I had to move around. And that was before I even knew what was wrong, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know what I'd done.
I was on crutches for a good month there. So that was...
So how did you find the medical system in that situation? I'm curious. Do you feel like...
It was... Well, that's the thing. When I first did it, I was kind of like, I've dislocated my left knee before. I know what's wrong, and it's kind of probably the wrong choice. So we waited a week before we really... Well, the weekend went by, and then we went to a clinic, and they're like, go for x-rays, and we'll go from there. And then all of a sudden, they thought my knee was still dislocated, which at the point, it was so swollen in the way I was moving around. It was like, oh, shit, like, maybe it is still dislocated. So we went to the emergency right away and, spent our 8-hour day there and sat around. But, I mean, once you get in there, the doctors were amazing to get. And then I think it was just you had to wait a week or two for a referral to go see an orthopedic surgeon and get everything done. And, it's... The thing is, the best way to heal that stuff is rest, ice, whatever, and you can pay a whole bunch of extra money and go get these things done, or there's not a whole lot they can do with when the guy was sitting there, the surgeon sitting there with my knees, like it's kind of too swollen to tell right now, things like that, right? So I wasn't too concerned about it. We knew it would go down, and once I got some mobility, go to physio once, and it's
feels better.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to say it felt better, but I mean, it's if you've been through physio your whole life probably with sports injuries, much like I have, and it's kind of
always injured.
Why am I paying $80 for someone to bend my leg twice, put on a Dr. Ho, and ice it? You know, things like that. So we just kind of went about taking care of that ourselves instead of dumping the money in that, because I didn't have benefits for things like that at the time when it happened. So that's all out of pocket, right? Yeah. But I don't know. It feels good now, and I'm just doing what I can, and I'm gonna start going back to physio eventually here. Just
now that you're back to work. And
the 2 first weeks back to work after sitting around for 2 months there, going into a more physical job is difficult. But we took it easy, got real serious at the gym about stretching and icing, and did everything I could.
Icing. So when were you icing?
nighttime after the gym.
Like right after because there was an interesting podcast I listened to that kind of changed my idea. Because when I hurt myself, I was all about icing. As soon as I finished my workout or physio, or every day having ice baths.
It was kind of, when I get home from work, when we were sitting watching TV on the
Just throw
couch,
some ice.
do it for
I think
a couple cycles or whatever. But then after the gym as well, you'd want to get some ice on it because you can feel when it's swollen. You know, and that's, even I was just showing you, like, there's definite MCL scar tissue right now, and it's things like that. Some days it gets sore and some days it doesn't. But I mean, if you're going hard on it, then...
Well, like for injuries, it's probably a bit different. You kind of have to, there are definitely going to be more times where you want to ice. But there was something about this in this podcast, Dr. Rhonda Patrick, if anybody wants to look her up or listen to her, she's been on Joe Rogan's podcast a few times. She's so smart that it's actually hard to understand what she's saying. You got to look up a lot of words. You got to re-listen to what she says.
Yeah.
But one of the points she was making was this idea of icing after working out is completely wrong, because that swelling and that
is your natural healing.
That's your body
Yeah.
healing and building more muscle tissue. So if, like she said, if you are going to ice, you got to wait at least an hour after your workout, because you need to let your body's natural healing process begin. Otherwise, you're just going to stunt that, and you're not going to get the gain, so to speak, that you're looking for.
It's weird, right? I mean, that's... our whole life we're taught with baseball, like you're getting those ice packs on the second you're done a game kind of thing, right? But I mean,
I think that's a bit different.
It's probably a big difference between use and effect of building, right? So like post work, when I'm beat up at the end of a day, you want to get some ice on it to help relax. But like maybe after you're done training at a gym doing a leg day and you put a bit of a beating on your leg, maybe that's the time to...
I started doing it, like waiting a couple hours and then having an ice. And
I notice a difference?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Not a lot, though, to be honest. Over the long term, I would say I did. I feel like when I stopped icing right away, was kind of right around the same time I started noticing a lot more strength coming. But I mean, who knows? It could be in my head, right?
That's
There's so much of that.
There's so many different things that you can go through, whether, as we were just talking about, like the psychological value of an injury.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing I went through with my back. And like I said to you before, even now, just trying to go out and play some slow pitch and fucking scares me, man. And it's just not worth it to be doing it again. And even when I was coming out of the back surgery, I spent a whole bunch of time at an OR2 clinic and then went to a pain management clinic. And my point of the pain management clinic was I was in really good shape, and I'd go in there and it was like people that it almost seemed like their lives were over. And then you have this big guy doing all these exercises where it's just like, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah.
But 1,000% of that was speaking with doctors about how to deal with your pain. And in the future, when you feel it, is it real? Is this happening to you?
Right.
And the psychological part of it is just a monster.
Huge.
But at the same time, if you're a mentally strong person, you're like, I'm fine, I'm going to keep going. What's the limit on where you draw a line and
that's
blow
such a
my
hard line, right?
What do you do? And that's the problem I have now, because I like to think I'm okay, especially with my braces on or my knee taped.
Yeah.
Things like that. But what happens, close game, bottom 7, take a big swing, blow my knee out again, and be off for 2 more months. Like I just, it's not a risk I can take right now, and that's the most difficult part, I think, because you don't want to limit yourself, and
no,
I need to right now, so it's kind of.
But see, that's where I noticed big. That's like when we were asking about, did I notice a difference? Where I actually really noticed a big difference is when I started pushing myself more. Which, again, it took me a long time. When I think back, I think I could have gotten to where I am now even sooner if I had been a little bit more, just pushed myself earlier. But, you gotta, it's hard to manage with the pain, whether that's pain that you need to push through or whether that's pain.
There's so many things in hindsight that you can look back and say, hey, I should have done this. And just, as we were saying, when I blew my knee out, I was like, I'm going to keep busy. I'm going to read books. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then, you know what? You wake up in the morning and roll over and it just feels like your leg's falling off.
Yeah.
Well, overcoming that just to go read a book or make a healthy meal is just like, fuck this, I'm staying here in bed, you know?
I found a lot of that was that pain was just like, even now what I notice is when I don't use it, when I'm not mobile for a day or two, that's when I notice it tighten up, and that's when I notice it feels
big time
sore or weak.
That's part of why we've been, you know, even after doing a physical work day, Jess and I just go to the gym, even if it's a light cardio, and get a serious stretch in.
Yeah.
And then I just, you know, I feel whether that's even a psychological thing or just the pure fact of stretching your body out. I know, like, I've really bought in. I was always a big advocate of stretching when I was younger, and like, I know I hate it now too, but like, it makes me feel a million times better, and there's so much thing for cell recovery in your muscles, and even keeping hydrated better, just better blood flow, right? It just, I honestly do feel a ton better if I go and get 4 or 5 good stretches in a week at night. Sleep better, wake up feeling better.
Physio will help, like you were saying, getting back into physio.
Yeah.
That's a big thing with mental too that I noticed, just being like, even just like, I have a trainer now. I got an actual personal trainer because I wanted to get a program put together by a professional that would maximize my workouts and really start to gain the strength back in my legs, because I did not feel like I was being efficient in that way.
You should check out my buddy I played college ball with. His name's Brendan Rolfe. Look him up on Facebook. He's got a healthaholicsanonymous.com, and the guy is a genius athletically.
Cool.
You know,
this guy's pretty good. I mean, he's just out of school, kinesiology, personal training certificate. But I mean, I just doing the workouts, I know I can.
You can tell he knows what he's doing. He knows
what he's doing, because every muscle in my body feels, every workout, every muscle gets worked, and the way he's got it put together because of my goals, it's you've got your main big strength days, and then worked around that, you work everything else.
Oh, fair enough.
So, and then you have your like complementary workouts to help build those main, you know, so squat.
Is it like a certain day a week program?
So I have 3 workouts: squat day, deadlift day, bench press day. 3 big strength workouts. 5 sets of 5, right? So you're just building strength in that way. But then around those days, you have your like 4 sets of whatever circuit, plus another 4 sets of whatever circuit that work on top and below that set.
Fair enough.
That complement the main sets.
That's a good thing, man. There's a lot of different interesting forms of like fitness now compared to when we were younger. I remember the training programs they had us on and playing ball in college and stuff, and just different things now. It's weird. It's weird looking at it and seeing, but like, it all kind of makes sense, right? And that's even like, I was always a big believer in like a full body workout day. Yeah. I love having a full body workout day, and personally now, like, I want to get back on some sort of program to follow, because I feel it would keep me more focused or dedicated. Like, I could set a goal, weight goal, or whatever. Like, I'm not interested in getting huge and building strength. Like, my whole life,
you're already pretty fucking strong. I'm
getting there. Like. It's getting back. I've been getting in really good shape the last month, which I'm happy about. Yeah. So it's coming around, but core stability. Things like that, like, I just put so much more thought and dedication into my workouts for doing those things, opposed to just throwing a heavy weight around. I'm a lot more worried about my core, your knees, your hips, your rotator cuffs, your joints, things like that. And I think doing a lot of like cable training and resistance training, and that's I feel, plus, you know, doing concrete, you're using a lot different muscles than your regular beach muscles, things like that, right?
That's exactly why I got into it. Because I'd go to the gym, and half of the time I was there, or a quarter of the time I was there, was just me thinking about what exercise I'm going to do next. Now I know what I'm doing, and it all works together.
Perfect.
But where I was going with that was either whether it's with the trainer now, which I've noticed a big difference in what I can do when I have a trainer there, or knowing what I can do when he's there, and the days I work. Does he write
you programs, or are you with him there every day?
He does the programs, and I started 2 days a week with the trainer, and then it's just too expensive. That was just to get going. Now once a week I see him, and I work out usually 3 days a week.
Kind of keeps you on track.
And he keeps it on track if we want to make any changes or whatever the case may be. But just to get back to where I was and now even surpass that, because I feel like that's why I got hurt, because I wasn't strong enough in a lot of areas for the amount of activities and
We're not
what I was
we're
doing.
not spring chickens anymore.
That's true,
Right?
but I don't think we're not over the hill either. But I noticed either with that or with physio, you can push yourself more. You know, like you have this extra level above where you
absolutely
trust that
do,
you
and
can
you're moving
push
up.
it.
It's not you're just believing in yourself and what you're doing, and that's also, when we were younger and had trainers, it's you're putting your body in someone else's hands in terms of, they're laying out for you what to do, and you're just kind of trusting and believing in this person's program, and you're just doing it, opposed to you being tired after work and going to the gym and be like, oh, okay, like I'm going to do 4 sets of this, 3 sets of that, and
Every excuse you can.
Better call it a day,
I
right?
think I can
That's
get
the one
going
thing I've
now.
always loved about having a trainer. It's 100% pushing yourself a lot further than you normally would, because and especially when you're paying money for it, it's something you want to commit to.
Yeah.
Because you want to see the results, and that's what you're paying for, right? So
Yeah.
it keeps you going.
Yeah, it definitely does. So change gears here a bit, now that we've talked about ourselves enough.
Never gets old, does it?
No, it doesn't. Did you, I don't know, there's a few things I kind of wanted to get into, but was there anything specific
Nothing, man. I was just
No,
here for
just-
a fire and shoot.
Yeah, whatever it might be.
Whatever you got, I usually got something to say about it. So
Did you, I think we talked about the, you said you've been watching Viceland a lot.
Yeah.
And I talked about this, I think, a little while ago. Did you see the State of Surveillance video with Edward Snowden? Where Vice-
I've seen an Edward Snowden documentary about where he was in asylum in Russia.
Yeah.
And part of it, but I haven't seen the Viceland one.
So this one, it's just like a 25-minute video, and it's not about Edward Snowden. It's about how easily we can be monitored
Right.
in today's world.
Didn't you see the thing about them showing Zuckerberg's computer on Facebook there? He's got a tape over his microphone in camera.
Yeah.
On his office computer.
Smart.
So that was one of the things that's like,
Yeah.
if Mark Zuckerberg's doing that,
Yeah.
it's pretty.
Where's my tape?
It's pretty blatant that any hacker can go ahead
But
and.
I mean, they could jump into that.
Well, that's the
They
thing,
could- yeah.
right? You got it all over the place. We're sitting on our phones half the day with a camera right on the front.
Microphone can
You're
be turned
sitting
on.
on Wi-Fi. You're doing anything, and even with the Facebook notifications, having the messenger on your phone. Like, I don't know if people ever read the small print on that shit, but it is
No, never.
mind blowing. There's about 21 pages of it, and I went through it one day when I was super bored at work on a night shift.
Really?
And it was just like, we can access this, we could do this at any time. They can turn on your microphone, they can go in through your data history. Like,
What?
there was a big thing about, I want to say 2 years ago, about people having Facebook Messenger.
I remember
the
that.
app.
Yeah.
And
And
for
I
a
held
long
off
time,
getting it.
For a long time, I deleted it.
Yeah.
And it was just so inconvenient because you couldn't send a message unless
And
you
they
went
know
on
that.
They know
They
that.
fucking know
Well,
how
that's-
inconvenient it is.
Yeah, well, why do we let our lives revolve around the necessity of that?
Right.
We all have phone numbers.
Yeah.
Everyone's got an unlimited text plan.
Well, that's what I love about WhatsApp now, right? They have that on there now. That
Privacy.
everything is debunked. What do they call it? Encrypted, right? I don't know, man. It was creepy to watch. That's all I'm saying. If you
Yeah.
want to watch it,
I'll
I talked
definitely-
about it a couple
I'll check it out.
podcasts
That
ago,
seems
but
like it'd be pretty
the
interesting.
creepiest part is that if your phone's hacked, you have no way of
You'd have no
knowing.
clue,
You have
yeah.
no way of knowing. It's
There's a ton of people, man. There's even Jess had a credit card thing
yeah.
a little while ago where there was some charges, and where did that come from? What website did you shop on, or what plane tickets did you buy, or how did it happen? And they the bank doesn't know.
I just try not to even concern myself with all of that stuff because I feel like it's so easy for
There's so
them
much
to do
you
it.
could really worry about
that
if you wanted to.
I just
that it would be,
why back to the kind of like the happy knots mentality of like, why am I going to concern myself with something that I have almost no control
yeah,
over?
you
If
definitely
it's
know.
going to
If
happen,
somebody really wanted to get you, like you
They're-
said, they
yeah.
could, and there's
Exactly.
like, there's absolutely nothing you're gonna do about it, which is sad.
It is sad.
that that's the world we live in.
but that's this like we are so fear driven, right?
Yeah, true.
All of these things are what drove. Article today, they want to ban pit bulls in BC now.
I saw that. I saw your brother shared that because one lady got attacked.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that I kind of like, my instant thought on that was like, any pet that has a brain, there's a strong potential that they've been through something that I don't want to say like a pet has a mental illness,
right?
But their brains probably tick a ton of the way the humans do.
Yeah.
And if some people have something happen to them when they're young, it affects the rest of their life. So
and something sets it off.
If you get one dog that's, was beaten silly as a puppy and then adopted and attacks somebody,
and no one even knows.
Well, are you going to ban anybody with mental illness from BC?
Yeah.
Like, that's the shit I don't get. If people have a pet in their home, like, I'm not saying it was that lady's fault, but something happened in that dog's life where it was agitated enough that it had a kind of a snap show, right? Like, I've been playing with my dog before, and he's taking a bite at my arm.
Yeah, they're playing.
If you're messing with him, or like Rick doesn't like if anybody touches his hind legs, he'll growl, and if you're kind of throwing him around or whatever, he'll take a snap at you, and that's
Sika, she doesn't really. She snapped for some reasons, and you don't
what's Sika again?
She's a Staffordshire Terrier, so I don't know if she would be in the ban. I'm not sure how that works.
Like, Sika's the nicest dog going, right?
Well, she is. But she has her moments where she gets snippy.
Yeah.
And one of the ones she doesn't like if you come over top of her. She doesn't like that. She'll back right out. But I just feel like, just like anything,
it's an animal.
They
don't want to be confined to a space.
You can set them off. Yeah. There's going to be certain triggers, just like humans, where they're like, whoa, what the fuck? And then they go into protection mode.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to live in the world without pets? And you can't, or do you want to live where there's some risk involved?
Pretty soon, the way the vegans are fucking trying to take over, right?
Yeah.
Like, all the articles that are coming out about, like, oh my god, if you ate 8 ounces of beef, it was 900 gallons of water.
Oh, yeah.
Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, that stuff drives me batshit crazy, man.
The problem is all of those kinds of things come out, and like even like this pit bull thing where the 16-month-old. Well, I'm sure the 16-month-old probably didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It just was a freak that it just was a shitty situation.
What like how viciously did it attack the lady?
It wasn't well, there was a couple here. There was this article starts off 16-day-old baby is viciously attacked in her own Saanich home by the family dog. First of all, it's
16-month-old baby?
16-day-old baby.
A child?
Yeah. Suffering serious lacerations
Why
requiring
are you
extensive
letting
plastic
your
surgery.
pit bull sit around your 16-day-old child?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are the people letting their child fall in a fucking gorilla zoo pit?
And
why are you letting your kid near a fucking crocodile?
The zoo one, I had the same kind of initial thought too, but man, you talk to any parent,
shit happens.
Kids can be gone like that. You turn your back, you grab a hot dog you just ordered, they're gone.
Yeah.
So that was just a shitty situation, and if anything, the zoo should have parameters where you can't get into the fucking cage.
True.
So, but anyway, there's I guess 3 things that have happened in 2 months. This 16-day-old baby, which I just don't understand how that even happens. Like,
the dog could have been scared of it, didn't know what it was, right? It's most human interactions with people, human size, adult size.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's this little thing rolling around.
I don't know. That's a weird one. But then, 6'5" man weighing 250 pounds mauled by 2 dogs outside a Langley store, requiring 19 stitches after he said hi pups to the pair tied to a mountain bike, which they dragged behind them to get at their target. Yeah, that one, I mean, I don't know what else.
They were pit bulls?
Apparently. And then a miniature
why
pincher.
Why would somebody leave their pit bulls tied up outside?
But see that thought, right? They're pit bulls. You're kind of agreeing that there's something.
I agree that there are different kinds of dog breeds that have aggressive tendencies, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
But I still think that aggressive tendency stems from them being raised. I think that it's both.
I don't think it's necessarily. They're a protective being, and even, when we were young, there was a guy in our cul-de-sac that had 2 Rotties, and they were the nicest dogs in the world, but there was an incident where they had, killed another dog because this dog barked at its owner. Oh. And that's their blood and mentality, right? It's... just the same way, Rick, when I throw something, he goes and gets it and fetches it. He's a bird hunting dog.
Yeah.
It's what's in him. I didn't train him to do that.
Yeah.
He picks up a toy and he shakes it to kill it like it's a bird.
Yeah.
That's what he does, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the easiest way to explain it. Those dogs are, You know, it's in them, right?
It is. It's a tricky. I don't know, man. You start banning dogs, next thing you know, German Shepherds are going to be banned.
I don't think there should be a ban.
Yeah.
I don't think there should be a ban, but
I just think you need to, if you're going to do anything, you need to hold the owners accountable. That's what I think.
A pet license owning,
whatever it is,
take a course, right?
Yeah. What? Yeah.
I mean,
if that's just the way I look at it.
Well, think about it the same way with people who aren't ready to have kids. You know, you pump out some kids and you're not a responsible person, and
those kids are going to grow up to be fucking shitheads.
It's going to ruin their life,
yeah.
Right? I mean, it's the same thing with dogs and cats, any kind of pet. People step into something that they're not necessarily ready for, and they just kind of do it because it's, I don't want to say like prize or material, but it's just an object possession rather than something you're, you know, being compassionate to and training and raising.
Yeah.
Shit happens, right? And there's all those situations where the wrong person's going to be with the wrong thing and the wrong thing's going to happen.
I just find it weird that there's these things where we're okay with blaming the entire group for the few that are
That's our whole life, man. That's our whole life, not just with pets though, right?
No, we're doing it with gun control now. You're blaming it. You want all guns gone because mentally ill people are shooting people.
Yeah.
But then you have clearly an issue with terror and Islamic, I don't know, tricky, right? You bring that up, all of a sudden, But look at what's the last few mass shootings in the States have all been by people who are saying they support ISIS, but you can't blame that whole group. You can but you can blame all gun owners and they want guns gone. And you want all pit bulls gone.
What was the sit-in for the Democratic sit-in about the Second Amendment there the other day? Did you see anything?
Where Obama was talking? Is that what you're?
I don't. I feel like there was like a House sit-in for they were just doing like a huge pressure on trying to write some gun control laws, and it didn't go over very well.
I've had that talk now with multiple people.
How many people in Canada do you know have guns that?
Yeah.
If somebody wants to kill someone, they're going to kill them.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a gun.
Yeah.
Like, do I believe there should be laws and regulations?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even...
But there are.
Even with law... Well...
That's the thing.
In the States?
Yeah.
Where?
And you look at...
I guess I don't know enough about, like, the exact process.
But you look at the last... Like, I think the last 3 or 4 mass shootings, what they call mass shootings... Not including all the gang violence that goes on that are included in those mass shootings that no one wants to talk about. Mm-hmm. They just get up in arms when it's at a school or a nightclub or whatever. But when it involves anything but rival gang violence, when you look at the last few that have been big in the news, they've all been in states with the strictest gun laws. So...
what do you do? It's. I think somebody said it the other day. It's not necessarily. It's not a gun control thing. And when all these shootings first started happening years ago, like my instant reaction is, "Holy fuck! Write some laws, do something." Mm-hmm. But again, I don't have the answers. But I do understand that there's just so many different things going on in the world right now which draw people's attentions and minds to be divided or supporting this or supporting that, or we want this or we want that. And you get the wrong person with the wrong attitude too deep into the wrong situation, they believe they're doing the right thing by killing 50 people, and all of a sudden you have these stories about this guy coming out, oh, he's Islamic, oh, his dad was in the CIA, oh, this guy was secretly gay. Like, what fucking news story is covering this? And when are you ever going to know the truth? Yeah. So how do you form a proper opinion on the subject without you just being judgmental on it? Like, I don't know the guy. I don't know the people he killed. I don't know his family. Right. So how the fuck can I walk in there and be like, oh, this guy was a homophobic Islamic. Mm-hmm. Fuck all them. Well, no, that's not how it works, right? And unfortunately, the way news is covered these days, that's the IQ limit of people saying, oh, this news story said this, so that's how it is.
Well, it's the headlines. There needs to be something that grabs people's attention, so they pinpoint one piece that they can blow up.
I hate it, though.
Yeah,
I hate it. It's bullshit, and people need to be wise enough to look at it and be like, there's obviously more to this story than what's really happening here.
Yeah.
You know? And
Well,
that's...
What do you like? So what would you, if you were to make a suggestion as far as what they could do in the States to try and
move my cousins and family up here and just wipe them out, you know? Everyone wants to drop a bomb on ISIS.
Yeah.
You fucking kidding me? Like...
Not ISIS. I'm talking about the gun issue, right?
Well, it's this thing. It's so deep right now that, you know, we read all these things about conservative believers in the Second Amendment, and some people saying the Second Amendment doesn't even say that you're allowed to have, you know, it's only for a regulated militia to overthrow government. The funny wording of it, but
it's pretty clear. I think if you read it,
I don't know what their laws are personally in all these states. Like you said, some of them have stronger ones. But there just needs to be, you know what, I don't know what the answer is, and I don't even know what to make a suggestion to say what the answer is. Oh.
Yeah, no, I think, well, the way I read it, it's pretty clear that it's saying people's right to bear arms should not be infringed. So, anyway, I've had this conversation with Adam. He's a big proponent of they need to fucking figure something out down there. Get rid of guns.
They need to figure something out, but again, the gun control isn't the issue. There's so much mental.
It's part of it, but
poverty.
I don't think it's a gun control issue. I just think I don't even know, because, like I was saying, the states where these are happening. That's where they have the strictest gun laws. So you can't say that they need to make more laws.
Yeah.
Maybe, like Adam has mentioned, they have to take a test like we do to get your gun license, to have a gun.
I feel like that's pretty simple, because everyone I know up here who has guns is a pretty responsible gun owner.
If you're going to go do a course and do a test, you're probably responsible.
Right?
Right? I agree.
And I think, you know,
I
don't think there's anything wrong with taking an 8-hour course.
No.
To get a gun, and somebody teaching that course to be able to go in there, even if it's super quick, man. So the person teaching a course could just look at somebody and make sure they're not smoking crack and potentially going to shoot someone. And that's such a small thing to ask for. Yeah. It's not a huge deal. You know, like how quick you and me could go take a course tomorrow and have a gun license, go buy a gun in a week.
It is, but like you can do whatever you want. You can propose whatever you want in the States, and that's why I asked. My feeling on it is it doesn't matter. They don't want, like, what you see in social media and the uproar does not speak to the majority of the states.
And that's the problem.
They want their guns.
Hey, it's like the pit bulls, right?
But I think what the problem is when, like, this completely common sense idea of, hey, why don't anybody from now on have to take a course to get their license and to get a gun? Makes sense. Everyone's allowed to have a gun. You do a simple course, whatever. The problem is that the left side and the right side are both blowing their ideas way out of proportion. That both sides are going, well, fuck you then. I'm not budging.
Well, there's no middle ground.
I'm not budging
on anything,
either.
Right? And it's so stupid. Like, I just can't wait for 10 years down the road where, like, a libertarian party becomes as popular as a conservative or a democracy. Yeah. Because
or a Democrat, yeah.
It's just, there's zero middle ground for anything right now. Yeah. You know? And it's, what part of anybody's life has ever worked out with some sort of compromise and understanding of someone else's point? So if you want to go so far in the other way, think about your friendships or relationships you've had in life. Have you ever had anything where it's just like, it's this fucking way or that's it? Yeah. Well, why is that gonna work with politics and, like, uniting a country? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, if people can't understand, but, like, the anger is so driven, and all the things that have been happening in the last year going over with the election and just the new mindset of college students, new generations coming up, right? It's just dividing everything so much further, and it's, I don't know. It's shitty. It's shitty.
I see, personally, I mean, and it's starting to creep up into our culture too in Canada.
Well, but I don't feel like it did at all until this last election. Yeah. I really don't. And then all of a sudden that got blown way out of proportion. Yeah. And realistically, like, as much as everyone's so happy Trudeau's in,
I can't stand him. I can't stand him.
He hasn't done a fucking ton.
I don't even care about what he's done. I just can't stand how much he's just a social justice warrior pandering to whatever the latest cause is.
Yeah, but that's his way of understanding.
That's his way of keeping.
I honestly feel like Western and
popularity.
Eastern Canada will divide eventually.
Yeah, it's
Because,
possible.
I mean, when you sit there and watch that vote, I know Conservatives only got a minority government, but it was just like red, 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 blue.
Yeah.
And how much has, like, what Alberta's done for
Canada,
is just mind-blowing. And then you have all these people on the East Coast that are such heavy Trudeau supporters, and his dad almost destroyed fucking Canada.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, I voted for him. I was like, you know what? Let's give the guy. He seemed.
I'm okay with, like I said, I didn't vote. I just couldn't agree on basically anything, and said I'd roll with the punches, and that's kind of, it's not like all that coverage and all the discussion, there's all these different things happening, and people make it seem like this is going to ruin your life if this guy's here. It's going to ruin your life if this guy's here. Like, what since the election has affected you at all?
Yeah, not me personally.
What one thing has personally changed your life?
Nothing.
Dude, I go to work, man. I
deal with my
come
own
home.
shit.
I go to the gym.
I don't look to somebody else.
Pay your taxes, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's, I was obviously on injury EI for a bit, and that was nice, but it's not like Trudeau
You're not
made that
milking
happen.
You got back to work as soon
I
as
went
you
back
could.
to work the day I could.
I
You know, it
was the same way. I need to get back to work.
but we don't we don't know enough people that are, I don't know. I guess, I'm very happy. I also saw, like we were talking about Viceland when they're the woman episodes that they have about just different cultures and like
Yeah.
the struggles of women going through, and they went into a big discussion about the things they've launched for the missing women and stuff. And
Yeah.
the thing that always bothered me about that during the election is, like, that's not something to make a platform for people's votes on.
No.
Right? Like,
No.
I understand huge things wrong with there not being an investigation by a Conservative Party. That's totally wrong.
Right.
Right? 100%. That's not an Indigenous person problem. That's a world social problem.
Yep.
Right? For sure. But the things that piss me off about elections is they throw these things in each other's faces where it's forcing you to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're a Trump supporter, so you're not allowed anything Hillary likes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a Hillary supporter, you're not allowed anything Trump likes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
And it became the same thing in Canada with Harper and Trudeau. Well, I like a lot of the things that both of them propose.
Yeah.
And I dislike a lot of things both of them propose.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to just start hating.
This idea that you have to be one side or the other.
It's not. And I don't like, I just, that's the one thing about politics that's always driven me nuts. It's not how we live. That's not how you should live your life.
Right.
You're going to be wrong. You're going to be right. You're going to be wrong. You're going to be right. And to just be in the mindset where, nope, I'm doing that because this fucking person said so, or, he's too young, he's not ready yet, or, oh, fuck this guy, he won't launch a missing report. Well, you know what? I mean, everybody has reasons for what they do, and like we said, not one of these things has affected our life.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, you get to the point where it's like you want to believe in the most right thing, but then I couldn't even find something
Common
to vote
sense
for.
is kind of what logic. Common sense is where I try to go with almost everything.
That's what I don't get about the American election, man. What logic or common sense is putting in either of those people into presidency?
Yeah.
Right?
Zero.
But
that's who they were given, and that's who. The problem is all of the other people, like even Bernie Sanders, logic, common sense. You guys are retarded if you think he's going to fix your country. He's not. The way your country's set up as a capitalist country, the best that's ever been, Bernie's going to ruin that.
Yeah.
He's going to ruin that. But the whole reason why he is popular, and this is something I wanted to talk about, is I've been thinking about this a lot lately, is we've become this, the way I see it is we've become this culture or society that is okay with mediocrity. We are okay with people being okay.
I don't think it's necessarily like people are okay with being mediocrity. I think a lot of what's happened through the 80s and 90s with corporations is like the surge to be like, I don't feel Canada personality is like that as much as the States, obviously, you know, and it depends on what states and shit you're in. But I think people more or less just want to live their lives without being affected. And that's a huge difference.
No, see, I'm more talking on a personal level. All of these causes and like all these videos you see about people, you're okay the way you are, and da 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 da. Yeah, if you're happy, that's great. But there's become this culture of
mediocrity, but they're miserable with themselves.
Just mediocrity, as far as like you're not allowed to call people out for things they shouldn't be doing, as far as, you know, your eating habits, your laziness, your
people tell me I'm fat all the time, and you know what? I fucking eat McDonald's too much, so I stopped eating McDonald's.
Everybody wants everything brought to them, given to them. You don't have to work for it anymore.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, it's tough for a privileged white man to say this, right? But that's what I see across the board. And the problem that I have is there's so many people that I know or that you see who start from nothing and do amazing things that, fuck, that's bullshit. I don't care. Anybody can do it. Anybody can make it. That's the beautiful thing about the States. Yeah. And that's where a Bernie Sanders would ruin that. They'd make people even more so okay with just taking handouts and not having to work for what they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just bugs me. All of these videos you see about,
I don't disagree with that. You know what? Some of the stuff, like, there's so many different social philosophies out there with kind of making adjustments. And again, this goes back to like you and I wanting to help people and give backpacks. And we are naturally, the things that make us the happiest are seeing happiness in others. And sometimes that means helping out.
Yep.
But at the same time,
there's a time and a place.
When you spend years working hard or educating yourself or doing all these things, and it's like, well, I earned this, so I feel good about it. So why does that person just get given that? Yeah, it bothers you, but on the same hand, why do we let it be our business?
Yeah.
That's the thing that I've, like, the last few months, especially when I've paid less attention to things, it's really like the more I involve myself with things that aren't my business, obviously you get disgruntled because you're destroying yourself, your mindset with thoughts that, you know, a lot of this stuff that we do talk about is America.
Yeah.
Well, it's not my life, you know, and unfortunately I have cousins, you know, that live right across. I have a lot of family that lives right in Washington. So, you know, I think about that a lot more than I should. You met Amy when she came up, right?
Yeah.
But, and then go full circle. And like you're saying, it's all these people making issues about stuff just to make issues about it. Yeah. So it kind of forces you to pay attention when you might not necessarily want to. But if someone's going to throw something in your face, you're going to say something about it. And especially you being a very strong opinionated person, you know, you absorb these things. And
well, it's tough. Like people, like I've had conversations with people and they think, you know, I've recently I was called gross for my opinions by someone, and to my face, not on social media, and by a friend, someone who I still consider a friend. It was a good conversation, but it was one of those conversations where, in my opinion, I was sharing what I thought about certain things going on right now, and their point of view was like, no, I'm right, you're wrong, so I'm gross.
That's how it goes, though. That was that's been a lot of the Democratic versus Republican, liberals versus conservatives.
Yeah.
If you don't feel the way we do, fuck you.
Yeah.
Well, no, let's talk about this.
That's what's pushed me to more of a conservative. 2-3 years ago, I was way more liberal.
That's what I mean. And it's getting divided for no reason.
Yeah.
But people raising it too high and forcing arguments on each other.
Yeah.
You know, and it sucks. And it's just, that's not, like, you got to think back to like 2010 even when the Olympics are here.
Yeah.
Shit like that. 5 years ago, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
True.
You know what I mean? So what's escalated and what's changed?
Yeah.
You know, to really make things that wild. And, you know, there's been economy struggles and job losses and things like that. But is like, has it really snowballed that much that like we're in this position to be this distraught versus other political parties, or even some I probably don't talk to some people I used to be really good friends with because of stuff that like happened in the last, and we just couldn't get along.
I don't even really, I don't hold anybody's views against them. I might not agree. I might not like them.
You for sure do.
No. What I mean by that is I'm not gonna not talk to someone or be friends with someone simply because we disagree. Is what I mean by that.
Fair enough.
But what the thing about this is that people. I'm not trying to sound preachy here, but the reason I have the views I have is because I want to see people succeed. I want people to do well for themselves. I want people to rise above.
There's your argument for that, and then everyone else's is we can't without help. And that's what I mean, man. We've done fundraising, we've done handing out, and some people, like you said, you don't necessarily feel the white privilege, but you grew up in a good family, and it's not to take away that you didn't work hard and earn everything you have, and you want to see people do that. Yeah. But
the thing is you're completely right. People get dealt shit cards. We've talked about this multiple times on the podcast.
For sure.
But those shit cards aren't going anywhere. Yeah. So either you're going to decide to look for handouts and try and come up that way, or you're going to bust your ass and you're going to succeed. And those are the people who are going to be even more successful than me or you because they've had to work way harder for it.
There's nothing better than a good success story of people that overcome things, right?
But the people you want to talk to.
And that's the thing. I don't think it ever necessarily goes back to like what the first thing that got them going was, and that's the difficult part, right? Like you hear these success stories of people that maybe came from nothing, but where did the nothing start coming from, and how did they first get going? How did they first get on their feet? How did whether that's I don't want to say
how many successful people do you know who are excuse makers, right? If that's all you're going to do.
Quite a few, actually.
But regardless of whether you have reason for it, and I'm not sitting here saying people don't have reason to have an excuse. Yeah. But the people who are successful are the ones who don't use those excuses.
Absolutely.
Who rise above them.
I don't disagree. Me and my stepdad were talking about the other day, like having a hard time. And, my mom and him, they both went through company shutdown, bridge to retirement, things like that. Finding, there's struggles and struggles and struggles, but you get up, you get a new job, you do your best, and you just keep going, right? Like it's the same thing. Like, we had injuries, back surgery, job losses, coming back, and just what do you do? What do you do? Either you can sit down, pack it in, and that's not our mentalities, you and me. Like you just find a way to keep going and find happiness. Yeah. And if you're not happy at the end of the day, I don't know how to decide what makes some people happy with what they're doing. And
I think it all boils down to it's easier for people to either quit or feel sorry for themselves or look for excuses.
I've done my fair share of feeling sorry for myself, for sure, man.
100%.
I will never deny that. But again, here we are. I'm in a great position right now, and I'm happy as a clam getting back to it, right? And nothing makes me feel better than you're being with the family. You got a good job, you're working hard. I'm getting back into sports, we're training hard at the gym, and losing weight, getting back in shape. But it's I don't know, I'm doing all the things that make me happy right now, and I'm fucking a happy person. Yeah. And I know you are too, right? And that's it, working in success and going after it, right? So
whatever and part of that conversation that turned into me being called gross was, I need to apparently look at things from another person's perspective. I do it all the time. Yeah. But that doesn't, like I was just saying, that doesn't mean that you should be looking for excuses. That you shouldn't try and do everything you can to rise above that.
Absolutely. Right.
So,
it's tough, man. Finding people's perspectives, right? It's
100%.
That's what makes us all unique, though, right? We're all everything that's happened to us in our lives have us in such a different position, such a different mindset.
Yeah.
You know, you and I agree on a ton of shit, and
we disagree on stuff.
We disagree
too, right?
on things, but we have conversation and see each other's sides of it, and that's, you know, that's why sometimes when you get in Facebook battles, I jump in to defend you because I understand your mindset to it, right? And somebody who doesn't necessarily know you as much as I do will just be like, "Oh, I can't believe you
called me a raper.
Can't believe it.
Call me a rapist.
Fuck did that fit?
Fuck?
That was bad. Oh man,
brutal.
That was just a disgusting way to respond. And that's it though, right? That person doesn't know you the way that we've had conversations. So if you come across saying something, trying to open a discussion, you know, somebody who knows where their life came from. I don't know who that person was. I don't know their story, and people are you're never gonna please 100% of everyone out there, and
that is just something that I felt passionately about at that point in time. And and it wasn't taking away from, you know, the apparent rape culture that we live in, which I completely disagree with. Another day, another conversation. But I wanted to show the other side and how we completely ignore one side and just all in the other side. So, and they apparently found me that to make me a raper.
It's just weird again.
My opinion.
It just, so much of it again comes down to how the media covers things. You know, and it's super unfortunate because all of a sudden it makes either a huge F you or a huge F them. You know, and nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. I don't think people would love anything more than to.
As soon as you start name calling or start demeaning the other side,
you're
not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere.
The conversation's done now.
Yeah, but
right?
how many people are educated enough to sit down and have those conversations?
That's true. I would agree with that, but you can still give your opinions. The problem is being open to other people's. So many times I've had my opinion changed. And this idea that changing your mind makes you a flip-flopper or makes you inconsistent. No, you learn, you grow.
Growth of knowledge.
There's so many things. Like I said, I used to look more liberally at things, and then I realized, no, that hurts us to be more of not.
Communism and socialism doesn't work.
It's true.
It's proven.
Countries have proven it over.
Again, this is our opinion.
Again.
I'm not trying to tear into anybody that loves those mentalities. No. And like I said, I'd love nothing more for everybody to be happy, healthy, and living a fulfilled life. But
you can have people like you and me who think more liberal, more libertarian or conservative in our views fiscally. Who and even socially, but who want to help people, and that's where you get that.
Well, that's
from.
The thing, right? So just because we have conservative, slightly libertarian views,
we still feel there are people who need help.
I like helping people. Everybody likes to be happy, but that's the whole thing. I don't like the two-side divide. I hate it.
I hate the poor. What I hate is the poor me mentality that we have going on right now. That's my biggest issue.
Why'd you have me over?
So the only other thing, we're starting to run out of time, but the only other thing I wanted to talk about,
it's a good
just
talk,
get a quick,
good talk. Hey, expressive.
I like it. Good rants. How do you feel? I mean, this is just something I wanted to bring up because I don't think it's a huge deal. People have made on either side bigger deal of it than it is, and that's kind of the part that bugs me. But this changing of our national anthem. I think it's stupid. I'm not going to raise a fuss about it, go and write a post.
I agree the same.
I just think people are like this up in arms or even this applauding of how it's this huge thing.
I just don't understand.
It's really not.
I don't think anybody ever wrote the national anthem with like a full anti-feminism point.
It's not even that.
It was the way it was worded. I mean, if people want to be happier and it's changed and it makes more sense, like, change it. That's great. Is the world going to end if they change it? No. Is the world going to end if they don't change it? No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I remember when they were saying they were going to change it, I was just kind of like, started Googling what exactly it was they were going to change. I'm like, no way they're changing our whole anthem, right? And then I saw like the one line they changed, and I kind of laughed and never paid attention to it again, right? Like,
but it's from what I read, is it was already gender neutral, but like we were talking about, the media blows it up. People want to jump on the next cause without really even understanding. From what I read,
Share
all
a
thy
meme
sons meant like it was inclusive of everybody. Yeah, because it says sons, that just now well, it means son is a boy, so well, can't have that.
Yeah.
No. When you look at the actual meaning, it is gender neutral. But I don't know, man. I just
Can't win.
That's the thing that's been bugging me, is people
the thing,
jump
man.
on these things as if
it's gonna get to a point, like all these things that are happening, like you said, like heavy socialism philosophies and whatever, and people are gonna let it go, or it's gonna cause a civil war, basically, right? Like it's gonna get to a point where, I mean, it like we've always said, it seems like once one issue's resolved, there has to be another one. There has to be another one.
Yep.
What's next? And
When
that's kind of all it is now, and that's like we had said. I just kind of stopped caring, because really
It's just
these
one
things
yeah.
don't affect me, and I just go on and live my happy life.
Yeah.
And so be it.
Was
I love coming and sharing my views on this with you once in a while. It's good
fun.
times. I like the conversations we have, but it's again as far as everyday life. Fuck, we go to work, we come home we visit our families, we see our ladies, and we make some meals, watch some Netflix, and carry on. You know, and it's when it came to the point, if it ever comes to the point where like these things are drastically affecting.
Well, some of them could eventually, right?
They could
You don't
eventually,
know.
but I think that's when you'll see an uprise against it.
You and Jess have a daughter, and there's some dude in the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's not going to go over well.
It's not going to
That
go
is
over
going to
well.
affect you, right?
Yeah, that is.
And that came about right after gays were allowed to be married, which I completely agree with.
Mm-hmm.
But that cause goes, and now the next thing comes right roaring in like a fucking Mack truck.
Yeah.
And now we're going to have to figure that out.
If there's no regulation on, like, just this thing, how far are all these issues going to go?
Yeah.
You know? It's
Did you see
when's it ever going to stop?
The article about a man who believes he's a dog?
Yeah,
in the Dalmatian costume.
I saw it, and
this is where shit's going. We don't stop and be logical about things.
Is there going to
and
be
really
a dog
think.
bathroom in bars?
You start. My problem with all these ideas, and I'm all for inclusivity.
Did you ever listen to the Louder or Crowder where they went off like listing like the 30 different gender things you could identify with?
That's brutal.
Some of them were just like, I can't remember their call, but it was like a gender that identifies as a sea mermaid.
Well, they play that game. The hell was that game they played?
Guess this gender identity or something.
Yeah, gender. I can't remember. It wasn't Spot the Tranny. It was something else. I can't remember what the game is. Anyway, they basically have to. They give you what the gender is, and you have to say what it is. Man, people are just making shit up, and until we realize that, it's just going to keep fucking snowballing.
Well, that's what they're trying to reach for in the whole freedom part of it, right? Like,
you can do whatever you want. This is my point. Do whatever you want. The libertarian point of view.
Crazy too, man.
Do what you want, but don't tell me I have to accept it. Yeah. Don't tell me I'm not allowed to gay. No. Men aren't dogs.
Do what you want, but we're not wrong for not believing it.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
exactly.
That's it. Live your life.
Yeah.
Do what you take to be happy, but don't shove it down everyone else's throat. Right?
Understand that when something's fucking weird, people are gonna say something. That's
and it's not making us a bad person for thinking it's weird.
No.
And that's I think we're the biggest thing. Like you said, you get in these arguments, and it gets into name calling, and then it just snowballs.
Yeah. And that's why you look at that to bring back that Facebook post that I had where it just went off the rails. Did I ever call anybody a name in that post? Did I ever personally attack anybody, even though I was personally attacked? No, because that's not the point of it. The point of it is to just make your points, say your view.
Yeah.
You may disagree, and as soon as you start making personal attacks, well, the argument's now out the window.
It's out completely out the window.
So. Yeah. All right, man. This is awesome. We got to do this more often.
Yeah, we do.
I love these fucking talks. It's so much fun.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.